All right. So Jenny, you wrote me about what you were calling at the time tinnitus. Well, how do you pronounce it?
Tinnitus, that's what I call it.
All right. Well, I've heard it both ways. We'll just call it tinnitus now.
Okay.
And for those who may not know, listening and who may not know what that means, it's a ringing in the ears. And some people have really big time and it rings in their ears and it drives them nuts. And other times it's kind of mild and it goes up and down and da, da, da. Yours, however, because we talked earlier before this recording, wasn't like that. It's not a ringing, well, describe it.
I just hear the sound like zzz all the time in the background, but I don't really feel it in my ears. It's in the middle of my brain.
Yeah, you told me that. You told me that. And it's not a ringing, it's a zzz, something like that.
Yes, mild.
Like an electrical humming. But that's my term.
Humming is the word, but I don't feel it's even electrical. It's difficult to describe. It's almost like, it's in the universe.
All right. And you told me that it started, I think, in your email to me. It started something like 18 years ago, something like that.
Or even, yeah.
Maybe. We'll discuss that for a minute, but I'm going to get some other background here first.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right. So is it always a constant level or does it go up sometimes, down sometimes, disappear sometimes?
Yes, that's exactly like you said.
So sometimes it's not there at all.
Yes.
As far I know nobody's probably ever asked you this, but give me your best guess. What % of the time is it gone?
Very few, like 10% maybe.
All right. So it's there 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mostly it's mild. It doesn't impact my sleeping, life quality, whatever at all.
Okay. Well, now when you say mild, if you would, we need to put that in a 0 to 10 level. Is it a 1, a 2, a 5, a 8? What would you call it?
Usually it's 3 to 4, but sometimes if I am tired, or stressed, it will go up to like 7 to 8.
Okay. So a key thing there, which we may want to explore a little later on, is it tends to be most of the time like a 3 or 4, but if you're tired or stressed, interesting word, we may want to get to that, then it will go up to 7 or 8. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay.
But not very often.
All right. Well, when you say not very often, 5% of the time, 30% of the time?
Maybe 7, 8 to 10%.
Okay, 7 to 10%, something like that. It goes up to 7 or 8. Otherwise, it stays pretty level most of the time at like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
Is it there right at the moment?
Yeah, that's what I shared with you before we started. It's like,
okay.
And this ego thing we talk about, knows that.
Yeah. We will get to that, but
yes.
For the moment, is it currently a 3 or 4 or a 7 or 8?
No. Today, actually, it's like almost that, we are dealing with it. So it goes up. Actually, it's like 6 to 7.
Right now, it's 6 to 7.
Yes.
All right. Before we go any further, and we have much to do and just explore here.
Yes,
I want to try something.
Okay.
In my view, it has maybe a 50% chance of doing something. I just want to see if it does.
Okay.
And that is, I am going to work in your behalf with unseen therapists without your involvement. I'm going to do it surrogately. I'm going to sit here and California, and you're how many thousands of miles away are you from me?
I don't know. In Florida, yes.
Okay, well, you're 3,000 miles away. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try this surrogately.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing may happen. Nothing may happen.
Okay.
But then again, something might. And I just want to know if something does. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm just going to sit here, bring in unseen therapists in your behalf, surrogately, aiming only at the symptom. We haven't
Okay.
even begun to even explore what the cause may be. But I want to see if surrogate work on the symptom budges anything.
Okay.
All right. So be quiet, play music in your head, whatever you want.
Do I need to close my eyes?
I don't care.
Okay.
You need to do whatever you want to do. Do your shopping list if you want to. I don't care.
Okay.
I'll be back shortly. All right.
Thank you.
All right, Jenny, check it out. Is it still a 6 or 7? It's okay if it is, by the way. We're just checking.
Okay. Yeah, kind of still similar. But the thing is, I feel the warmth in the back of my neck area.
A extra warmth of some kind?
Yes, a bit warm now.
Can you give me some? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And also the sound. Yeah, it's almost like the sound. It's not just only in the middle of brain. It's like in the whole back area. It's in the background, including the neck area. And it's warm when I touch it right now. It's very warm.
Okay, now is that warm and all that? That seem like that's a good thing, a healing thing, or it just got worse?
No, it's not getting worse. I just feel like maybe it's healing.
Well, okay, we don't know for sure, but
okay.
Let me give another round, okay? We'll see what happens.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
All right, check it out. Any changes?
It's interesting. I mean, how to describe it? I hope I can describe in a way people can understand. I just feel like, because I'm sensitive to energy. So I just feel the whole area I mentioned in the back of my skull and neck of the back of neck, head. It's like the energy is less dense, light dense or thinner. That
thinner,
kind of thing.
Less dense, thinner. Okay.
Yeah.
Like 10% thinner or 40% thinner?
20 to 30%.
Okay.
Thinner.
All right. Is it still, would you still call the intensity a 6 or 7?
Maybe 6, 5 to 6, maybe. But the interesting part is I feel like in the front of my chest, my front area, a kind of energy came out, like stress energy, whatever.
Okay, well, for whatever it's worth, among the things I'm doing is aiming at the symptom of the, in the brain kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I do feel this. It's like
I'm also creating imaginarily me being you surrogately, because we're all one. It just doesn't appear that way. Okay.
Yes.
Waves of peace, if you will. There's some kind of lack of peace. We all have it. Lack of peace in the system. And I'm trying to bring that down, at least for now. That's part of it. That may be what you're feeling here. I don't know. Okay. All right. One more try. And then we'll,
okay.
I just want to see what happens. We'll go on from there. Okay. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Check it out again.
Uh-huh.
Any changes?
Yeah, the difference is the number, maybe it's 5, but the difference is something inside in the brain, whatever in the whole inside internal state. I just feel like a bit opening or with some more, a bit better clarity, something like that. Because sometimes when those sound was on, I sometimes will feel like, foggy in mind, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me put it this way. It's less foggy, something like that. A bit more clear inside.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is the surrogate work produced some noticeable kind of healing, but by no means complete. It's not all gone or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's been some movement in a healing direction. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Does that seem right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm still gathering information and
yeah, sure.
And just so you know, and anybody listening in know, it's important to start gathering information, because along the way, we're probably going to be doing some reframing, looking at things a little differently, and all of that. All of that is so we can, and Unseen Therapist is listening in, okay?
Yes.
All of that is so we can put as much on the table when we finally bring her in,
yes,
officially, if you will. We want to put as much on the table so we minimize any possibility of forgetting something, repressing something. I don't want to look at this.
Yes.
That kind of stuff that we all do. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So the purpose is to explore, I didn't think about that kind of thing. Put stuff on the table, examine, if you will.
Yeah.
So that we hopefully loosen up within you any resistance that might be there. Because one of the things that's important to recognize is that the Unseen Therapist recognizes our free will to believe as we choose. And she's not going to come in and say, you can't believe that. You got to believe this. Okay.
Yes.
So she's not going to interfere with that. Okay. But if we're willing to let go of it and understand it better and all of that, and it's on the table, hey, gone. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's.
Can I add something?
Please.
So I feel like right now the energy move a bit down, which is surrounding my throat. It's more like in the front and the back sides of my throat. The energy, it's like I just feel the sensation there surrounding my throat.
Okay. All right. Now that's really good feedback. because you have some energy sensitivity other people tend not to have. Okay.
Yeah, because I do that. Yes.
Yeah, and that's good. And it may end up being rather useful because we could use that perhaps as a barometer for what's going on as this session unfolds. Okay. So you can give me feedback, now it's in my knees or something, whatever happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Or it's changed and now it all got worse. Well, we want to know that too. Okay.
Okay.
If something happens like that. Okay. All right. Now let's go back. You said something like 18 years ago or thereabouts is when it first started. I remember that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall at that time anything that may have been going on in your life emotionally?
Totally.
Okay. What might that be?
Yeah, I knew it and I worked on this. Back then, my son was just born, not, newborn. And I worked in the corporate as consultant and a coach with very, very intense working loads. Every day I will work like 8 sessions or whatever. So, and then my mother was sick. She got like a hemorrhage during 1 year, 4 times ICU. So my younger brother didn't live with us back then, so it's like all on me, baby, and, career work, and my mother and my father was stressed out totally. So I was then stressed out. So I just felt like it was so full in my head, in my brain. It's like everything I need to think about, all the details. Everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So stressed out. And then I started to have, also not kidney disease, kidney issue. So it's like stressed out symptoms.
Do you have kidney issues now?
I would say no. But once in a while, yeah, it's funny, when we are talking right now, I really feel the both kidney area. It's the sensation like I experienced before. I worked on it a lot.
Okay.
It just went away and then came back.
Well, okay. Let me tell you what that says to me. It doesn't make me right.
Okay.
So you always have to see, I don't know your whole life history. You do. Okay.
Yes.
And so
yes.
I have to put things together, make guesses, and we start going indoors. But if I'm going in the wrong door and I have some assumptions incorrect, you've got to say, whoa.
Yeah. I know.
So, but what I'm hearing here is, okay, there you are in this situation. Your mother is sick. You've got corporate stresses and, tons of stuff on your plate.
Yes.
New mother, all of that. All right. And at some point, some of that starts to fade, but this is my guess, okay? Your response to all that stress at that time did not get resolved, and pieces of that are still kicking around today, showing up physically. Do you think I'm on target there?
Yes.
Okay. Now you say you've worked on it. Now, many people work on it. What I find often, if we work on it and maybe got some temporary stuff and all of that,
yes,
or partial or whatever, but it didn't go away, that means we didn't get as much of it as we could. There is still stuff under the table, maybe hidden from us. Maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't want to look at it. Maybe.
Yeah, sure, true.
Okay. But see, I'm a great one for testing. Anybody who takes our advanced course will know that, okay?
Yes.
But the ultimate test is how the world unfolds for you.
Yes.
Because life will give you the tests.
Yes.
And if the kidneys start bothering you and the zzz goes on and the something's missing, okay? Something didn't get resolved. Something more foundational tends to be there. Now, any of these things I say that you don't quite agree with, you got to tell me.
I agree.
Okay. All right. So we want to look for what that might be. Okay. Now, 18 years ago, how old would you have been at that point, at that time?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like late 30.
Okay. Late 30s. Now, as a general rule, if we're going to go back to specific events underlying something, we typically need to go, to state differently, the farther back we go in time, like as into childhood, the more foundational it's likely to be. So something in your late 30s, well, that may well be what we're going to aim at. That probably has something more foundational still in the background. Okay, so I'm just sowing that seed with you for the moment. We'll see if we need to pick up that seed and water it.
Yeah, sure.
As these things unfold. But let's take the 18 years ago thing. All right.
Mhm.
So there you are with all this stress. Now, I want to get behind that stress. It's one thing to describe, I got all this stress, my mother this and my father that, and my just new mother and corporate stuff. And that's describing the why of the stress. Okay. The details behind the stress. We're not so interested in the details behind the stress as we are in your response to it. And that's what I want to get behind, your emotional response.
Yes.
So let's explore that for a minute. And we're going to be asking you some questions that you may have never thought about.
Okay. Okay.
Jenny.
Yes.
But at that time, I'm looking for something like, I really can't do this, or this is too much for me, or I'm being put upon, or I have to do this or else I'm not lovable. I don't count. I'm not good enough, and this is testing how good enough I really am. I'm guessing at all this stuff.
Okay.
Any of those ring a bell?
No, actually, I knew that for me, it's more like I have to be perfect.
All right, good. All right. You have to be perfect, and yet
because that's my father's, teaching.
All
and non-described words to put on us all the time, the pressure. We have to be super perfect, good.
All right. Now, thank you. Yeah. You get some Gary, you get some Gary kisses, okay?
Okay, receive it.
All right. So let me expand from that. Remember I said earlier that something 18 years ago or late 30s or whatever was, it may be important, yes, but it's probably bouncing off of something more foundational way back when, okay? And what I'm hearing, and always correct me, is here you are in all this stressful circumstances. You are being tested in every way, and you have to be
frozen.
Perfect. Oh, frozen? Am I still
frozen? I cannot hear you. Right now, I can hear you. Yeah,
okay,
it's back.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
yeah.
All right. So let me go over that again. Okay. Because I think we're on the target here, but again, you gotta tell me.
Yes.
So here you are in this corporate thing 18 years ago and all this other stress. And underneath all that is you got to be perfect, but you are being tested so big, probably nobody could, I don't care how perfect they are, could really come out of that and do it all perfectly. Okay.
Yes.
And even if they did do it perfectly, who's to define what perfect really means?
Yeah, that's true.
There's a difference between being perfect and doing it adequately. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
But whatever perfect is above adequate, that's up to somebody's definition, whatever that may be. And 100 people will give you 100 definitions of what that is. Okay. All different definitions, you know. So I'm presuming in all of this, the real issue, even though that's when the tinnitus and the zzz in the head and all that began, I'm presuming that was a sort of a crescendo moment telling you you're not really all that perfect. You got to be anyway, and somehow you failed because you got this built-in "I got to be perfect" thing.
Yeah,
and it sort of broke the eggshell, and here comes the zzz. That's my guess. That's my guess. On target?
Yes, and also another piece. Not only I need to be perfect, Chris, I know for my father, nothing will be perfect. He will always find something. When you are perfect, and then the next thing will come up.
Of course.
So for me, it's like the resentment also about being already perfect as a human, but still not being recognized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's also, by the way, your ego speaking. I want to be recognized. Okay. I want to be the king of my own little mountain. And I want somebody to say, you're okay, we love you, and everything else. Okay. Don't keep telling me everything I do that's perfect isn't perfect enough.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And I could resent that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Get in touch with that for a minute if you could. And give me your best guess. Again, this is questions you've not been asked before, probably. Okay. On a scale of 0 to 10, how resentful do you think you are of that?
At this moment?
Yeah.
Even though it's not that high, but it's interesting enough that I do feel it in my both kidneys.
In your what?
Kidneys.
Oh, your kidneys. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
So the mirror, okay. Here's what happens a lot. Not necessarily what's happening with you, but we're exploring, okay? I'll ask people, because they've worked on things like their resentments and so on, and they'll say, well, it's not that bad, okay? But when you start feeling it in your kidneys, or somewhere physically, that's a clue that there's a lot more going on that you're either not in touch with yet, don't want to really look at because it's too painful, maybe, have forgotten, repressed, all that stuff we talked about before. That's a clue. That's a clue. And it showed up physically.
Yeah, but I need to add something here, Chris. Back to those years when this Z sound started to come up, that was also the time I got burnout myself, and I finally was sick. And it led to finally I didn't, want to continue the job. I quit the job finally. And my health issues, because of my health issues, I just didn't have any energy finally to do all these kind of things or so. That's actually when the time I was received, different information about EFT, about this to heal. And also the main piece is that that's the time also I felt from my kidney, the symptoms. So the urine infection or whatever, I remember when I walk on the street or so, I could feel, my kidneys. It's weak. I was very fatigued, that kind of thing. And also the other piece is I realized all these. I had awareness of these, and I did tapping or whatever a lot on these things. But some piece, debris is still there. So something, it's not resolved, like you said, or resistance. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. For those listening in who may already be familiar with EFT, and for those who consider themselves to be highly evolved in it and well-trained or whatever your own view of that is. This is something I see over and over and over again. And we always need to test, because what happens so frequently is we will get a certain degree of improvement. We'll go, oh, yay, okay. But there's always more to do. That's why we need to learn how to test, explore, get down to other stuff we haven't seen yet, and so on. So that's just my little commercial to the old listening in. Okay, now, so as a result of all of this stress that you had 18 years ago, you ended up getting sick. That does not surprise me, because to me, and I'm not a doctor and I wasn't there, this is just my view, the likelihood is that finally, too much sick kidney stuff, things start falling apart. You can only be so perfect so much, and you have to live up to it before you finally break. Okay.
Yes.
And you have so much stress. And when you have stress, negative, you have anger and resentment and guilt and all kinds of stuff going on there. Your immune system has to deal with the cascade of negative chemistry that creates in your body. Any doctor will tell you that. Okay.
Yes.
And so when your immune system is doing that, which it must do, or you're in big trouble, it can't do everything. And so physical things start to show up.
Yes.
Kidneys and whatever. Okay. Sickness in some kind or other. Now, what you're left with, if I'm hearing it right, is two things. One is the tinnitus, you're calling it. Okay. And the kidney thing. The tinnitus is more present. Kidneys show up from time to time. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So it isn't just tinnitus, it's a kidney thing too.
Yes, it's related. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, typically, I'm not a doctor, but I've never heard a doctor say, well, tinnitus and kidneys are related. I've never heard that. Okay.
I sense it. I know it's related, because very often when I feel, the z sound goes louder, and I can feel sometimes in the kidney areas as well.
All right. Okay. So what we're doing here, just to emphasize now, is we're going to be aiming at something deeper than you've gone to before, apparently. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to aim at a good start. There's probably more to do than we're going to be able to do in one session here. There are lots of pieces to it and things like that.
Yes, sure.
But what I'm hoping to do is to get down to the very centerpiece of it, maybe even kick the center out of it, and get a really good start here. That's the goal. Okay. So in all this time, Jenny, we've been exploring, and we've been doing some reframing, and we've gotten to, I think, to the reframing point of, there's some emotional stuff clear back to my father's need for me to be perfect, this perfection thing. The kidneys somehow seem to be related, or say it differently, seem to come from the same cause, the cause being the perfection need. I see you nodding your head. Okay. And so while in one sense, maybe the zzz and the kidney aren't related themselves, they do appear to have the same cause in this case. Seems right?
Yeah.
Same emotional cause. Anyway. Okay. So let's go back in time. We're going to ignore the 18 years ago thing for the moment. I want to go to something seemingly more foundational. So your father, I gather your father, from as early as you can remember, has always got this message to you: you need to be perfect, you need to be perfect, you need to be perfect. Am I right, or did it start at a certain age?
Yeah, it's always from the beginning.
As far as you can remember.
Always criticize.
Okay. And would I guess correctly that part of his logic for that is my children need to make their way in this difficult world. And so they need to be better and better and better, perfect and perfect and perfect. And I can't possibly let them, be normal.
Yeah. External success, that was always what I, pursued until finally I knew it was not the answer that I have been seeking for my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we want to get this is part of the reframing, Jenny. We want to get to your father. We want to get to the source of why you have this built-in emotional need to be perfect. What we want to do eventually is go with that thing. You don't need to be perfect, whatever perfect is. Okay.
Yeah.
But to do that, so we're not just talking about it academically, discussion in our head. You want to own this idea.
Yes.
We need to look at the source. Okay.
Yes.
So are we agreeing that your father would, perhaps in a loving way, be wanting to do this perfection thing to raise you right, whatever that is?
Yes.
In his perception.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm also wondering about another possible motivation he would have. And that is he has unrest within himself, perhaps being criticized by his own parents and background and so on.
Totally.
And he needs to have you and maybe other children of his
Yes.
be his badge. If they are perfect, that means he's a good father.
Yes.
How am I doing?
That's exactly, I almost wanted to speak it out myself. And thank you for speaking out for me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is because of the historical reason, whatever. His life experience was like he had a good life until later on something happened and all the success, status, and wealth was taken away from him. And he never got recovered from his own, emotional stuff, fears. So he put his hope on us, on me. And when we are successful, that will satisfy him.
Yeah. And of course, there's no such thing as being ultimately successful. There's always another level. Always.
Yeah.
Okay. Always.
Yes.
You, Jenny, cannot ever win.
Yeah, that's true.
Am I right? Am I right?
Oh, true. Yes.
You can reach the top of the mountain, but then the mountain grows.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's got to be loaded with, I'm going to call it anger, stress, frustration. Yeah. I'm even hearing the possibilities for guilt in it. Why can't I do better? You may have reached a level, you may have gotten all A's, but you got to be someplace. And and all of a sudden, whatever this less than perfect thing is gets blown out of proportion. I'm making this up, but
yeah,
it's working.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay. But the ultimate reframe here, what's really important is that we get to the point where you don't just academically say, yeah, that's my dad's thing. And you own the fact that you're free of it now.
Mm-hmm.
You own the fact that you don't have to live up to his perception of perfection or anybody else's for that matter. We need to own, that's how you're free.
Mm-hmm.
We need to own it, not just discuss it. Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't ask you this before. I'm going to ask you now because we want to do some testing and just all goes along. But by the way, how are your kidneys and the zzz going right now?
That's interesting. The z sound actually goes down. It's low now. It's like 3 to 4.
All right.
But the any areas, the sensation like I felt back to those years, the familiar sensation, it's there. It's growing, actually.
Well, give me a 0 to 10 for an estimate, if you can.
6.
All right. These are always estimates. These numbers are never absolutely accurate, by the way, just so you know. They're just they're guidelines for us, okay?
Yes.
So that we can compare later on, kind of thing. Okay. So also, you've never been asked this before, probably.
Okay.
How am I even going to ask this? I'm going to have you say a sentence for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you just say the sentence out loud and then think about it for a minute. Then tell me on a scale of 0 to 10, how true does this feel to you? I want the emotional response, not the logical response.
Okay.
The emotional response. And
Mhm.
here's the sentence. I must be perfect. Say it out loud first.
I must be perfect. I understand that I should not, feel it from my logical mind, but emotionally, I do know that I don't feel it's that true. Finally,
Well,
but
okay.
it's more for me. Like, how can I say? I definitely don't feel like I need to be perfect, but right now it's more for me like ideally I need to be there, but I'm not there yet, and I'm not happy about that. Something like that.
Where is there?
There is like my desire, my purpose, and the stage of my current work right now. The place I think I need to be.
All right. Now we're going to shift a little bit. We had a discussion prior to this recording.
Yes.
Which I think I've got correctly, and I think we're getting someplace really tangible. But let me say that you were talking before we ever recorded that one of your avowed purposes, personal, not your father's goal, your goal, was to be spiritually far more evolved than you are. You have a calling. You want to be able to help other people get into more spiritual places and advance your own spiritual movement higher and higher and higher. And so that is a goal. And so what I'm hearing is this embedded piece of you must be perfect means that spiritual goal. You've got to get there and get there big time and get there now and be bigger than Jesus and all of that.
Okay.
Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, perhaps, but it's there's a motivation, a drive in there that